What's up, everybody? Welcome back to American Truck Sim. It has been a minute since we've done an episode in ATS. We are taking a load of scrap cars, as you can see there. We are running that from Oklahoma City down to Beaumont, Texas. It has been a minute. I think last time I did one of these episodes, I was like, oh, I'm gonna do more of these, and then I just never have. But it's not like I get messages or anything, anybody complaining. Until that happens, or if that ever happens, then we'll worry about it down the road. Alright, got to deal with this bumpy, gravel road. See, what time is it? It is midnight, so we'll be driving through the night. Sun should be coming up, and should be able to do the rest of the load in the daytime, so you should get a little bit of both. A little night driving and a little daytime driving. There we go, back on. All right, topic of conversation. Let's see here. I think we should discuss the one Moza Racing product that I've had trouble with. Now, I have quite a bit of their products. A couple different wheelbases. I'll probably get a ticket for making a right turn on red, which I always do. I don't know why. I own a lot of their products, and most of them I haven't had any issues with, except for the CRP pedals. Now, if you're not familiar with Moza's software, let's see, I think I need to get all the way over. There we go. If you're not familiar with their software, under the braking section, there's a slider you can move back and forth. Now, if you put the slider to 0%, it's reading 100% of the load cell. If you slide it to the right to 100%, it's going to read 0% of the load cell. It's backwards. It's funny, but 0% reads 100% of the load cell. 100% reads 0% of the load cell. Normally, I would run mine around 30%. That way it's mostly off of the load cell, but it would also read a little bit of the position. I found that worked pretty good for me. I guess maybe up until about a month ago, the brake pedal worked completely fine. Hadn't had any real issues with it. Now, mind you, I've had the brake pedal for about 14 months, and it gets a significant amount of use. The only thing I've ever done with it is when I first got it, I switched out the yellow spring, which is like the medium stiffness, for the red spring, which is the heavy spring. And I've also, I greased the little pivot joints and stuff, keep it clean, take care of it. That's all I've ever done with it. So one night I jumped into a practice session and I noticed, well, I didn't notice, it worked completely fine. It was doing what it was supposed to do. Shut everything down. The next day, came back, turned everything on, jumped into a practice session, got to the first corner, and when I went to hit the brake, I just touched it a little bit, and the brake pressure shot to 100%, and all of, the tires locked up. I'm like, well, that's not right. So I go to the Moza software and just think, all right, maybe I need to recalibrate it. Try recalibrating it where it was set at 30%, and you'd hit the calibration button, press the brake pedal, and it would just rocket to 100%. Let off the brake, and it would stutter as it went down. Hit the button again, try to do it again, hit the brake pedal, nothing happens. Press harder, nothing happens. Press as hard as I can, and it goes up to 30%. All right, well, something's definitely not right. So I try it one more time, hit the calibration button again, press the brake pedal just a little tiny bit, and it rockets back to 100%. So it's not acting consistently. Every time I press the brake pedal, it's a reading a different pressure. So then I took the slider and moved it all the way to the right and set it at 100%. So at 100%, it's only reading the position of the pedal. It's not reading any pressure sensor, only the position. Hit the calibration button, it works perfectly fine. Moved it back to 0%, tried to recalibrate, did the same thing. Just no matter what I did, it was reading a different pressure. So I've been using the brake pedal lately with the slider set all the way to 100%. So it's position only. And to be honest, it works fine. But when you're used to a load cell and you go back to basically a potentiometer, it's different. You really have to get used to it. I ended up emailing Moza and I explained the problem that I was having. Now, my big complaint with Moza is when you order something, typically it takes a very long time for it to ship. The CRP pedals, a matter of fact, I think took 22, 23 days before they even shipped. And then their customer service takes a while. I send the email just explaining the issue I'm having. 5 days later, I get an email saying, basically, oh, so sorry. Can you send us a video showing us what's going on? I'm like, if I would have known that was an option at the beginning, I would have just sent it with the initial email. But I'm like, okay, sure, I'll send a video. So I make a quick little video, and it shows exactly what's going on. I edit it. I get it to be as short as I can make it with, I don't know, 480 resolution, because it doesn't really matter. All they need to do is see the software and my foot hitting the brake and just say, okay, that's the issue. 23 megabytes is what I got the file down to. Super small. Wouldn't let me send it. Kept saying, oh, this file's too big. And 23 megabytes isn't, like these days, that's nothing. Anyway, I couldn't get it to send the attachment, and the little link thing that they have wasn't working either. I could send it as a link and they could just watch it, blah, blah, blah. That didn't work either. So I sent back another email and just said, hey, listen, I would love to send the video, but it's not letting me. But again, I explained exactly what was going on. That was, I don't know, 8 days ago. Still haven't heard anything back. Nothing. Which is ridiculous, really. I mean, you had no problem selling me your product. You had no problem taking my money. And after all this time, I have one significant issue that I want you to handle, and you can't do it in a timely fashion. You're making me wait days and days and days just to talk to me about it. And honestly, all I want them to do is just send me a replacement load cell. I know for a fact that is the issue. Now, since sending that last email, I'm like, all right, I'm going to take this thing apart and really go through it and see if I can figure out exactly what the issue is. So I take it apart the first time, which you have to do anyway if you want to switch the spring out and all that stuff. So it's not like they don't intend you to take it apart. I take it apart, I look at everything, to me it looks good. I didn't notice anything the first time I took it apart. I didn't notice any issues. I clean it, grease the little pivot points, put it back together, plug it in. I go back to the calibration, hit the button with it set to 0, so it's reading 100% off of the load cell at this point, and it works perfectly fine. I'm like, well, holy shit, maybe it's just a loose wire, loose connection, or something like that. But it's working perfectly, doing exactly what it's supposed to do. Used it that night. The next morning, turned it on. Same thing. Jumped in a practice session, went to hit the brake, and it just shot to 100% brake pressure. So obviously, I didn't fix anything. Still had the same issue. I took it out, took it apart again, looked at it, and finally noticed that the load cell itself is cracked on both sides. The easiest way I can explain the load cell is it's a little block of aluminum with a hole through the center of it. A solid square of aluminum with a hole through the middle. On the back side of it, there is 4 screws that hold this square-shaped piece of metal with like a tuning fork sticking up through the center over the hole. There's a round little disc that inserts through the hole, and when you apply pressure to the brake pedal, the stem off of the round disc that sits through the hole pushes on the tuning fork, and that's how it reads pressure being pressed on the brake pedal. Well, the metal bracket that's screwed to the block of aluminum or steel or whatever it is on both sides is cracked on both sides. I noticed the second time I took it apart, one of the screws, little tiny Allen screws, one of the heads of the screw had snapped off. The second screw was bent really badly. I was able to get it out, but it was all wonky as you took it out. It was clearly bent. The top two screws were completely fine. At first I thought, well, maybe it's supposed to be separated like that. Maybe it's just supposed to be that way. But after looking at it, you can see the metal is clearly cracked. It's not like a clean cut. It's a jagged looking edge. It's definitely broken. Now when I bought the pedal, they advertised it. Oh, I think I want to stay in this lane. That the load cell was like 120 kilograms, which is roughly 220 pounds of force. I don't even weigh 220 pounds, so you would have to press on the brake pedal fairly hard to get to that 220 pound mark. I mean, not crazy hard, but you would think it's a brake pedal. It's made to be pressed on. But if my load cell broke, somebody else's had to have broken too. I can't be the only one that has a broken load cell. And like I said, all I want them to do is just send me a replacement load cell. That's it. It can't be that expensive of a part, considering they sell the whole 3 pedals for like $4.99. How expensive can the load cell itself be? Ideally, it'd be nice if they just ship me a whole brake assembly, not all the pedals, just the brake. Send me a return shipping label, and I'll send them this brake back, and then they can analyze it after 14 months in the wild. Look at its normal wear and tear and all that stuff. And then they can look at the load cell themselves and see if they can determine why it broke, because, like I said, it's a brake pedal. It's made to be pushed on. You wouldn't think it would snap that easily. And I'm the only one that's ever used the set of pedals, so I can't think of a time that I pressed on the pedal so hard that it would have broke the load cell. Uh-oh. Missed that gear. Yeah. I just can't believe it's taking them this long to get back to me. Like, why would it take so long to give me an answer? I don't think I mentioned that part. I did send a second email after the first attempt to send a video with a clear, high-definition picture of the load cell, and you can clearly see the crack in it. So that's what I was hoping they would look at and go, oh, okay, it's definitely cracked. And then at that point, even though I've had it for 14 months, to me it seems like a defective part. It's nothing I did or that I would think I have done, just normal use. that the part itself is just defective. Of course, we got to stop at the weigh station. All right. So I think that's about it on the Moza CRP pedal topic. I'll keep you updated if I happen to hear somebody or hear something. But if anybody happens to watch this and you also have a set of the CRP pedals, let me know if you've had a similar problem. And I think the only other product I've had issues with is the Formula FSR wheel. Now, for whatever reason, you could be practicing, you could be racing, it doesn't matter what you're doing. All of a sudden, the steering wheel will just reset itself. You'll still have your pedals work, steering still works, but the shifters will reset, the screen will reset, and it's happened to me in the middle of a race, and it sucks because most of the time it comes right back, but the one time it happened in the Daytona race, which I caught while recording, it didn't come back. Luckily, we were on the last lap, and I was like stuck in 5th gear or something like that. But from what I can tell, when you have the Moza app up in the background, for whatever reason, if I minimize it, the FSR wheel will not work. You have to keep the app open and basically full screen running in, behind iRacing for the wheel to work properly, for the RPM to read and all that stuff. I have no idea why it's like that, but that's kind of annoying, and the fact that on occasion it'll just reset itself. Now, usually to combat that, I'll go into the Moza app and I'll force it to calibrate the wheel, and then I'll go and recalibrate the paddle shifters, and I do that right before a race. Make sure the Moza app is full screen behind iRacing, and I haven't had a issue since I started doing that. Look at that, sun's coming up. Ugh, I feel like I've been talking a lot already. But normally when I do these ATS videos, I'm not talking about anything specific. I'm just running my mouth. I thought this would be a good opportunity to talk about the issue I'm having with my Moza product. Now, don't get me wrong. I think their products are incredibly well priced. Everything I've owned has been really well made, very durable. I've never really had any major issue that I couldn't work around or get a fix for fairly quickly, except the load cell in the CRP pedals. So I think, like I said earlier, ideally for me, I would like them to just send me a brand new brake, and I'll send them this one back. Now, for all I know, because I did go through the CRP page, and the design looks the same. But if I didn't know better, I think they changed the load cell, because the numbers on the load cell are different from what they used to be. Do I have to weigh in again? Anyway, if I didn't know better, I'd say they changed the load cell, because the numbers on the web page are not the same as they were before. Sorry about that. I had to edit right there. So this could be a problem that they already know about, that they've already had issues with, that they're probably handling case by case instead of issuing a recall and saying, hey, sorry, the load cell we put in your pedals is breaking. They're probably just waiting for people to have issues and dealing with it on a case by case basis. That would be my guess. Like they're putting in a stronger load cell. Which I guess that's the cheapest way to go about. Instead of doing a full recall and owing everybody who bought a CRP pedal a new load cell or a new brake, they're just figuring, well, some of them might not break. So why recall them all when we can just do it on a case-by-case basis? But I could be completely wrong, and this could be an issue they don't know they have yet. Who knows? But I'm hoping they get back to me at some point. I don't know why it would take so long to get back to somebody and just give me an answer. Because the picture I sent of the load cell is clear. You can clearly see the crack in the load cell itself. Oh, we're gonna need fuel. Damn it. I guess we'll get off here and get fuel. All right, we'll hop in here and fuel up. Not gonna tell me. Make sure we clear the little island there. You know, I have the Moza R9 sitting back there. I really need to plug that in and probably update the firmware in it, because good grief, I have not used the R9 since the R21. But it's kind of amazing when you go from like a Logitech G923 that, and let's be honest, probably you're lucky if it's putting out 1.5 to 2 Newton meters of force. But I went from that to the R9, and I was blown away how much power 9 Newton meters was. I ended up never running the R9 at 100% ability. I ran it at like 90%. And then in iRacing, never even ran it close to that max. You just didn't need it. The 9 Newton meter wheel, maybe 3/4 of power would be at the point where you would have to literally fight to turn the steering wheel. If you tried to do a race like that, you'd be exhausted after half of a lap. So did I need 21 Newton meters? No, I didn't. Not at all. But I'm the kind of person that would rather have it and not need it than need it and not have it. And I would like to be able to replicate just about any car that I would drive. I want to replicate it as close as I can to realistic. Now, a car like an Indy car does not have power steering. At low speeds, it's probably not going to feel that bad. But at high speeds, if the wheel's turning 190, 200 miles an hour, it's going to have some resistance to it, especially with no power steering. But most of the cars we drive or race have some sort of power steering or power assist or something like that. So it's going to feel, you're going to feel resistance, but it rarely is it so strong that you're having to fight the wheel back and forth. That being said, to each their own. Some people like a very strong wheel, and some people don't like a very strong wheel. It's really up to you to set it to where it feels good to you, so it's enjoyable to you. So it doesn't really matter what anybody else's opinion is, as long as you're happy with the way your wheel base feels. Doesn't make a bit of difference to anybody else. Let's see. We only have 119 miles left. That's not bad. And we've only been recording for 37 minutes. That's not bad either. Take a look out the window there. I like switching from the different cameras because it gives you guys a different view. Most time you're just looking out the front window. You don't really get to see what's off to the left and right side of the truck. Oh, look at that little trooper. Looks like we're gonna split off to the left up here. Sometimes it's hard when you're looking at the GPS to kind of decipher which road it's actually telling you to go on. What that is, lake or water, river. I missed the sign for it. kind of keeping quiet the rest of the run. I said pretty much all I needed to say on the topic of the pedals. We are just about there. Oh, look at that little truck hauling some gravel with some heavy equipment. Sorry, traffic. Alright, where are we going? Looks like right there to the left on the other side of that Escalade. Pull up the trailer axle and pull up our third axle. Just a little bit easier to maneuver when you don't have all those wheels on the ground. right, here we go. Let them know we're coming back. And there we have it. Nice and square. All right, guys. Well, that is going to wrap up this episode of ATS. I really appreciate you letting me run my mouth about my issues with Moza and their CRP pedals. Hopefully, they help me out or at least get back to me and let me know what the deal is. We picked up $20,872, 1100 XP. We hit level 91, or we're about to hit level 92. I can't really tell. I don't think it makes that much of a difference. All right. You guys know what to do. Hit the thumbs up, like, subscribe, all that stuff. I really appreciate it. As always, I will catch you next time.